Hello and welcome to the Small World Podcast, the podcast where you are the topic of discussion. I'm your host, Chris Long.
I'm Nate Pearson.
And I'm the guest host, James Flowers.
And with us this week we have...
The Austin Newborn.
Austin is not the host? What's
No,
going
I'm not.
on?
I am not the host today. You thought I was gone. I'm right here.
It
Unless
wouldn't
you're
be
on
the first
video.
time you dipped
So,
out on us.
Hey,
I
yep.
may have done that twice.
Twice?
Already.
What was the second time?
It was twice.
It was twice. I don't remember.
I
I remember when you went... Oh, yeah.
And the other time, I think I just dipped because
The
I was
ECU
like,
one.
yeah,
Right.
bye.
So, we came to a realization here at Small World Media that how can you have a podcast where you are the topic of conversation if you don't know anything about us as the hosts?
Exactly.
So, over the course...
Ignore the Meet the Host episode.
Ignore the Meet the Host episode. That was
Yeah.
just an introduction.
And that was really short, so.
It was, yeah. So, over the course of the next 3 episodes, we, the hosts, are going to be the guests.
Yes. And that's why James is here.
Hello.
That's why James is here.
Because he is our guest host.
He's the official host.
Because how can I be the host if I am the interviewee?
True.
Correct. Is that correct, James?
I love that logic. It sounds quite sound.
Very solid sound logic.
Shout out to Sound Logic.
Yes.
That should
I
be
like
another name of a
whispering and-
podcast, Sound Logic.
Do we
Sound Logic.
Sound Logic or Logic
can-
Sound?
Oh,
6th podcast dropping from the Small
No.
World Media conglomerate.
We're
We
cutting
haven't
out
Sound
even
Logic.
got the other 2 out yet.
Sound
We're
Logic,
working on
the
it,
logic
Nate.
of sound.
So, that's actually important to discuss. Housekeeping to the Small
Housekeeping.
World Media. I don't even remember what mine was supposed to be called.
You changed the name of it.
That-
after
right, that's
made
what
a
I was getting
bomb
at.
logo.
Completely Transparent has changed to Honesty Reviewed.
Honesty review.
So I'm kind of changing the narrative of what I want my show to be. Also, if you're a video viewer and you see this brown stain on my shirt, it's not poop. I had to move a freezer today, and that freezer was in the same spot for a long time, so I don't know what it is, but it's
it
very...
could be poop.
It
Oh,
could be
no.
poop.
I'm
I
wearing
mean-
a white shirt too, and
Hey.
it's clean.
That sounds like a good shout out
He's
for my
wearing a white
merch.
shirt.
I mean, just brown.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
Just
thank
brown.
you. Just brown.
He's a
brown.
co-host
We're not
for one
plugging
thing,
that.
and he's like plugging my merch.
Plugging my merch,
here.
baby.
Hey, follow the Speedy Car Memes page.
You already had an
Yes.
episode, James.
I'm
This
sorry,
is
I'm
about
sorry.
you.
We only had James up here for the clout.
You're like, man, he's got a following. No, I'm just
Literally one person follows from that. I mean, I'm not even big. So.
33,000
No.
followers. You got a lot, man.
That's substantial.
And he's got a TikTok. We don't.
Oh, yeah, that's housekeeping agenda number 2.
We got banned from TikTok for no apparent reason.
Austin, do you want to tell us more about that?
Yeah, so TikTok, how you doing, guys? I hate you. They
The
Did-
wing.
the wing.
Ooh.
So I was on TikTok doing some TikToking, normal TikTok stuff, and it was like, "Hey, how old are you?" And I'm like, "Well, this is weird. I've already said how old I am when I made the account. Bada bada bum. This is how old I am. Okay, cool. Hey, how old are you? Second time. This is weird. Okay, bada bada bada. Cool. You're a band. Wait, why? Because you're too young. I'm 25. I'm 25.
You can rent a car, but you
I
can't
can
go on
rent a
TikTok.
car. I can buy a mortgage, but I'm not allowed to be on TikTok
You gotta
anymore.
be 26 to use TikTok.
So I emailed them profusely saying, "Hey, what's going on? Hey, we spent money for ads on here. Hey, here's all my receipts of where we spent ads on here." No response. They said, "Okay, we're sorry. We'll send you all your content on an email." They never sent it.
TikTok.
So
TikTok said, "Are you old enough to drive a boat without a license?" Enough said.
enough said. But pretty much TikTok hates us is all I can conclude, or somebody like reported us for no reason, even though, because I mean, the most risque thing I've ever posted on there was like a knock knock joke, I think. Yeah, it wasn't even a knock knock
That's
joke.
not true. He's posted a lot of hate content about me. So,
But it's about,
as
so
the one who
could you
reported
report us?
Chris.
Confirmed today. We
The
found out what
imposter?
happened to TikTok. Chris reported us.
Chris is the imposter of the group. I mean, like, bro,
sabotaging the whole podcast.
Sabotage, even though it was his idea.
just to promote transparent, and then it changes the name.
He's like, you know how I can get rid of mine and make mine even bigger? Get rid of Small World.
Yeah,
That's
get
what
rid of the
The
flagship
viewers
podcast.
have to go somewhere.
They have to
Yeah.
go to Veridical, honestly.
Yeah. Good old Vertical
Speaking
Podcast
of
by Jack
Vertical
Cesaire.
episode 3 and
out right
Small Talk
now.
episode 4, available now.
It is. And this.
Small talk audio improvements to come next week.
Yes.
Do you want to give us a little glimpse into what this week's Small Talk was like?
You know what? This week's small talk was recorded 2 weeks ago, so I'll do my best. So yes, I can hit the highlights. There's something about men having long hair in the workplace.
Yes. I remember
And
that.
how to cope with that, and what should be your
How to
response.
cope with it.
If
That-
you have long hair in the workplace, not just long hair, but like in between being able to put it in a ponytail and being able to style it.
So like a
Gotcha.
mullet.
Yeah, so awkward in between stage. How do you navigate that? The big highlight: bamboo thieves. We went over a situation where some people were having their bamboo stolen,
Yes.
and there were some failed drug tests. I'll stop it there. So
And a 15-minute conversation on how to eat healthy on a budget.
yeah,
That was my favorite part of the last
very
episode.
very useful information.
Good
Ronald
information.
on discipline was probably my favorite part of any of the small talk episodes that y'all have done so far.
Yeah.
That was
Pretty
a
good.
It's not a bit, but it was a good
Segment.
segment.
Information.
Yeah. Little.
James, did you
Peace.
listen to Small Talk episode 4?
Episode 4. I'm trying to remember if I
It
have
just
or
came
haven't.
out today.
He's like,
Okay,
hey,
then
listen
no,
to episode
I
1, 2, or 3.
Episode
What?
3 features
And
squirrels.
he's a host here today.
I'm
No,
sorry,
that's
man. I mean, like-
did you listen to Veridical episode 1, 2, or 3?
I haven't. I've been at work listening to Stephen Lawson and John.
Who?
Listen to Jack Cesaire, Veridical podcast.
I'll have to do that.
It's
right
honestly
here.
great.
It is pretty good. That, and I was reading this thing of how to make your podcast better. I have a request from our fans. Good request. I haven't told you all about this.
No, this is the first we're hearing about this.
So, this is a time of the podcast where we are growing, we are getting bigger, we are trying to improve. Constructive criticism. If you got it, give it to us because we need it. We want to make this better. We want to make this stuff grow. We have made it 20 episodes, but I'm pretty sure that is like 20 more episodes than people usually make in a podcast. So we're doing pretty good.
Yes, 2 notes. First, the criticism is just going to be get Nate off the podcast.
No, Nate is required on the podcast.
I'm going to send that request in.
No.
He's gonna,
Anonymously.
he's going to report our podcast on Spotify.
Nate is
Secondly,
crucial because we record at his house.
Yeah.
I tried to find a podcast on Anchor to listen to. I was like looking through them. I was just typed up different stuff. Every one of them had like 1 episode and done.
That's
One
great.
We
episode and
got
done.
20, baby.
The big 2-0.
We
I
actually
mean, 80%
have-
of podcasts start and then they disappear after 2 episodes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We actually have like 25, 26 combined content pieces.
Yes.
Man, look at Small World Media.
Boom, baby.
Patting ourselves on the back. That's what this is all about.
Oh, that sounded painful.
Austin just slammed his hand into the
I'll
wall.
rip my fingernail off.
Did you do
Not
that
really.
to the wall?
Oh my word. Bruh, like, he's like
broke the
Wolverine or
wall.
something, man.
Bro, something about this area. Didn't that doorknob like damage you?
He hit his knee on the door.
Nate,
That's my favorite
I'll
TikTok.
cover your security deposit.
No, don't worry. It's gone.
Oh, man.
I think Zoe took care of that.
Yes. We won't go into that. That's still fresh in his mind. He's like, it's too soon.
For
Poor Nate.
the listeners out there, Nate's dog pooped on his wall.
Yes, literally.
It's not. I mean, it's been handled.
It
but-
pooped
I mean,
on the
it can't be
wall.
that bad. I mean, your dog is only but like a size of an iPhone 13. I mean,
James.
it's a small phone.
It
I mean,
pooped on
dog.
the
It's a
wall.
small
iPhone 13 XS Max.
Yes.
I mean, an iPad weighs more than your dog.
On
iPad
the
Air.
wall. There you go. True. That is true.
So,
Yes,
this week is about you, Austin.
it is about me.
So let's start from where it all started.
Where it all
The
started.
big old GA.
The big old GA, man. I was born in Georgia, as you can tell from the slight southern accent that comes out every now and then when I'm frustrated or when I'm trying to be funny.
Mhm.
Born in Georgia. Don't remember much of Georgia the first time I lived there because I only lived there to be until I was like 4. I do remember moving from Georgia because we had a little like Honda. I remember the Honda. I remember the U-Haul. I'm 4, Nate. Stop laughing at me. I remember the U-Haul, and I remember going up a hill, and I'm like, why are we going into hills? Like, we were just going up. Like, where are we going? Because we're starting in, northwest Georgia. We were like right next to Alabama, right? And we're going up northeast.
Mhm.
So mountains the whole way. And turns out I'm moving to West Virginia. And I'm like, what's West Virginia?
John
is
Denver
this?
just comes on the radio. You're like, where am I?
What
But-
is a country road?
What is a country road? But
Mountain
4-year-old,
Mama?
I'm moving to West Virginia. We pull up, and we're in a holler. I'll put it that way. We're in a holler.
Shout out to the holler.
In the holler.
Holler.
And we are going to this magical place. Not really. That's a joke. You'll find that out later. Called Appalachian Bible College. This is not a shout out.
Oh.
Not an official endorsement
Not
at
an
all.
Official endorsement.
No sponsorship there.
Nope. So, Appalachian
about to
Bible
reach out.
College.
They had the email typed up to reach out to us.
And then
Backspace.
delete. Oh man, but Appalachian Bible College, I won't say there's great people there. There's it's not all bad. There's good people there. And as a 4-year-old, I was like, this is kind of cool. I'm in the mountain. There's a creek right there. That creek looked a lot bigger as a child.
Yeah.
Got there later, I'm like, that's not a creek. That's
This is
just
a little old thing.
That's a drainage ditch. I was playing in a drainage ditch.
That's funny.
Our sledding hill, which looked massive, was not massive. We did have cool rocks and there was caves. I'm trying to go over what I remember of this place. I didn't know it was I knew it was a Bible college, but I was like, oh, cool, my dad's going to school. But yeah, we had a little cave. We had the bear cave and the Indian cave, right? Bear cave, I could go into bear cave, but I wasn't allowed to go into Indian cave because that's where the teenager boys peed in it.
Oh.
And I guess
Shout out to those. Just kidding.
Shout out to urine.
So I guess I wasn't allowed to go in there because I guess it'd get ringworm or something. I don't know. Don't touch the walls. People pee on it. That and it was really tight, and there was copperheads all over the place. So that was
Oh, wow.
probably
Yeah,
the
that's
real
probably
bigger
more
reason.
crucial.
That was probably the real reason, but I just knew people peed in there, so don't go in there.
I always wondered if people would do that. So I just got back from a trail that you go through a train tunnel, and it was literally half a mile long,
yeah.
and it was when you gotta go, you gotta go. But I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't do
People
it. I
peeing
didn't
in
do it.
there. See, my mom wouldn't let me go in that cave because people peed in there. Not the snakes, the bobcats, the black bears. No, people peed in there.
The
I think that was
bears.
just a good gross reason that we keep you out of there. That's what she told you.
That wouldn't
Yeah.
freak you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny though, because lived in the mountains, snakes, bears. So I was outside one day, up in the mountains of West Virginia, and I walk out, look up. There's a bobcat staring me down.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like,
Bobcat?
that's a big cat. I kind of looked at it, and it was looking at me, and I'm like, really big cat. Ain't a house cat, is it? And I'm like frozen, just standing here looking at this thing. I didn't know they attacked people. But
You're like, let me pet it.
my friend comes around, and he's like, that's a bobcat. And he just runs, and I'm like, oh, I should probably run too.
How old were
I
you
just-
at this point?
I was like 5.
Okay.
Did it
This
chase
is such
you?
a
No, it just keeps staring. I was like,
It was just a
stared.
taxidermy bobcat.
It was just like, okay, if you're watching on YouTube, it was just like this.
And if you're not listening on YouTube, that brief pause was brought to you by nothing.
Exactly. But yeah, just staring us down. Fun times. But
Wow.
I could go on about West Virginia for a while. That was my
this
childhood.
is a
Let's stick there for a minute.
terrible
Can I stick
joke.
there for a
but
minute?
in that story of the bobcat, all I just pictured was Kimball Walker staring at you from a mountain.
It was,
Boo.
well, it was on a hill.
So stupid.
To me, it
I
looked
thought
like
he was
a
about to
mountain.
say it was Kimball Walker.
It was Kimball Walker. That's who it was. No,
Oh my
That's a
goodness.
bobcat.
there's a bobcat. But it was just, yeah, it looked like a mountain, but it was just a little rock. And it turns out it. So another thing, as a kid, they looked super far away. I went there as a teenager. We'll get to there. And I was like, because I kind of recounted that. I went back to that same spot as a teenager. I'm like, that thing was like 10 feet away from me. I was like, I could have died because I was probably the same size as it.
He
But,
said, I'm going to let you run.
yeah. But
Why is this dude standing still? Like, I want something that's running.
yeah, he's like, I want some fun here.
So
man.
what brought y'all to West Virginia?
So my dad, we went in well, my parents wanted to go into ministry. So they went to Appalachian Bible College. Appalachian Bible College in the
That's
name.
what. Okay.
Yeah, pretty obvious. It was a independent fundamental Baptist college.
So
Nate just
legalism.
rolled his
Say
eyes.
no more, fam.
So legalism. So we went there. My dad learned some stuff. I didn't know what he was learning because I was like a kid. I learned what it meant to be saved, and put that in air quotes. And you know, when you basically look back at it, you're like, that was kind of works religion. It's just all about works. How good the music was, how good you were. At that college, you weren't allowed to talk to a girl before 5 p.m.
Before 5 p.m.?
What?
It doesn't make sense.
What?
It doesn't make
That's so
sense.
backwards. If you're
You're
gonna
not
have a
allowed
rule,
to talk to a girl before 5 p.m. Girls, you better be wearing some ankle lengths or you get out of class.
That's crazy.
Can you
Ankle
pass me a
lengths.
pencil? It's not past 5.
get out.
She drops her wallet. You can't say anything.
Guys were not allowed to grow beards. They could have a mustache, not a beard.
What?
As a kid, I was thinking to myself, Jesus had a beard. But whatever. My dad had a mustache. It looked weird.
I can't picture your dad with a mustache.
You look weird. What was the other rules there? Theaters. You could not go to the theater.
Yeah.
That's where the devil lives.
Not go to the theater. Who went to the theater? I saw Jonah. Remember Jonah the VeggieTale movie?
Absolutely, I do.
I saw that in the theater, and I was like, I'm a rebel. I'm watching VeggieTales right now. This is awesome.
That is the biggest masterpiece of my
You
childhood.
just pulled a
Just
Martin
so
Luther.
good.
Like you went against the church. You were Martin Luther in that
I
scenario.
was
The first
I
time.
put my thesis on that door, and I said, I'm going to watch Jonah.
I tacked my Jonah VeggieTale movie tickets on the door at the
But-
church.
And I was confused though as a kid. I'm like, we're going to the theater. I'm like, oh, we're not supposed to be here. Like, oh.
They have popcorn. It's
But
kind of cool.
it was awesome. Like I was like, I'm at the mall. The mall's right there. I got the theater right here. There's popcorn and candy and such. What's so bad about this
You
place?
got to hear the God of Second Chances for the first
I
time.
don't know. I got to
Such
learn
an
about.
experience.
I got to
That
figure out the
song.
difference between mercy
song.
and compassion, and that was awesome.
The Jonah VeggieTale movie is truly an underrated masterpiece.
it is amazing.
Didn't it like put them into bankruptcy? That movie was what?
It
What?
put them down for a while. They
Yeah.
had it took them a while
Oh,
to
that's
recover from
crazy.
that.
I never
Really?
knew that.
I don't know if it was
It was-
bankruptcy, but that's why they had a dip.
Was such
Huh.
well. They came back. They
Yeah.
recovered.
So to show y'all where I'm at in life, literally not even 2 weeks ago, I watched a full 38 documentary on the behind the scenes of the making of the Jonah movie. And
Yeah.
that was one of the most interesting things that I've ever seen on YouTube.
oh, it's very
Because they talked about the big fish that swallows Jonah,
yeah.
like the process of making it kid friendly while still intimidating but not scary to kids.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. And they talked about the physics. The physics of the water in the Jonah VeggieTales movie was groundbreaking.
It what that you never saw stuff like that. That was like Pixar and all that was thinking. And Jonah came in and just said, "Hey, you think your stuff's is cool? Nah,
Nah.
man." Like they blew that away. Like
It was
I might
what a
do a rewatch.
masterpiece.
that was a good one.
We-
and then the caterpillar.
I want to rewatch
Oh,
that
yes,
movie
the
at least once a year.
Once
Dude.
a year.
Can we make this Patreon content where we all sit around and watch the Jonah VeggieTales movie and commentate on it?
We get a copyright strike from VeggieTales.
Like
What
Mystery
Vegetarian- they
Science
went out of
Theater
business.
3000.
No, they're
sort
still
of thing.
going.
No, Big Sky Pictures is out of business.
Big Sky's
Yeah,
going.
they got bought
they-
out by Netflix.
Oh, that's
So it's
sad.
not really
It sucks
what it used
now.
to be.
Yeah.
Netflix said no more Christian content.
Netflix said we're gonna reduce you to.
That means
Children.
Netflix can sue us, which is way worse.
No, it's not. They can't sue us for Big
I mean,
Skies.
I met one of the guys that helped make VeggieTales. It was pretty
Really?
cool out in Colorado. Yeah.
That's dope.
Phil Fisher is the best. I like Phil Fisher.
Do you remember 321 Penguins or
Oh,
123
yeah.
Penguins?
Yes,
What was
yes.
it?
Whenever I hear
321.
Kevin's name, I always
Kevin.
think Kevin. Like I always think of that.
Kevin.
And Larry Boy. Larry Boy's my
Larry
favorite
Boy.
superhero.
The rumor weed.
Can we just make a VeggieTales
We
podcast?
can
Forget
do
Small
that.
World.
Oh my word! Just so compensate on every single episode of VeggieTales.
It's a limited series.
It's
Yeah.
only like 12. We could do that. The sixth Small World Small World media production.
Just talking about VeggieTales.
VeggieTale talk,
Veggie talk.
The theology of VeggieTales.
dude.
The Chronicles
do
of VeggieTales.
The Chronicles of
Do you
Larry
know-
Boy.
There was a Lord of the Rings ripoff of VeggieTales, or a VeggieTales version of Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Lord of the Beans.
Oh yeah,
I vaguely
That
remember
was
I love that
so
one.
good.
I like
so
that
much
one.
of our audience is just completely isolated to
I
what's
mean,
going on
I'm pretty much
right now.
done with Marvel, but if they do the multiverse with VeggieTales jumping in with
Hey,
Larry Boy,
yo!
like I'm back.
You know, somewhere in one of those circle portals in Endgame, Larry Boy had to pop
he
out.
had to exist somewhere.
Yeah.
He had
True.
to.
He had to.
I just
For
remember
our
though,
audience that's ignorant to what's going on right now,
this is beautiful. But
VeggieTales is the single greatest piece of media from the early 2000s, especially if you grew up in church during the early 2000s.
this is true.
So yeah, you know about this because you listen to church stories. I didn't know they used to do like the Bible Man conventions.
Oh man.
Yes!
they
Oh
did.
my goodness.
But
I miss
crazy.
Bible.
I
Man.
just remember though one thing from this was so clever from that Lord of the Beans thing. So
Mhm.
you know the main character of Lord of the Rings, Aragorn, Legolas, and the dwarf. What is his name? Oh, I just watched the movie. This is bad.
I've never
It's
seen
my
Lord of the
favorite
Rings.
movie. Oh no, what's his name?
Frodo.
Gimli. Anyways, so we have Tarragon, Ear of Corn, and he's just you're like, okay, he's gonna come up with something good for Gimli. He says, and the happy and lovable elf, Grumpy. And you're like, yes. That's so good.
VeggieTales is so iconic.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about
We're
West
talking
Virginia.
about you.
West Virginia. Oh yeah, the theaters and all that. But yeah, you weren't allowed to go to the theaters, and the only reason is because the president of the college one time saw the posters on the theaters and was like, "That's of the devil. You're never allowed to go there."
Legalism.
Well, I think that's just like that's just an old church thing because my grandparents
Yeah.
like thought it was terrible to go to the theater when they were younger too. So
Well, people literally had this idea the only thing to show at the theater was porn. I'm like, no.
My grandma-
What are you talking about?
she did personally make a vow to never go back to the theater. She didn't think the theater was evil or anything,
Yeah.
but her friends told her to go with the movie with her one time, and
Uh,
it's like they told her it was gonna be okay, nothing bad, and then it basically was porn.
No,
So
there's your
she's
problem.
ruined forever
we
now.
probably
That's the
shouldn't use
problem.
it. We're gonna be demonetized. I mean, we're not
Just-
making
Are we
money. but
monetized?
Not
The
yet.
moment we become
Just-
monetized, they're
just
gonna go back and
bleep
hear
it.
this.
Just bleep it. It's all right. But
I'm not gonna.
The one
It's
time she
okay.
comes out
Corn.
of her comfort, and then
Ear of corn.
Ear of corn. Oh man, but yeah, we're allowed to go to the theaters. Basically, have you ever heard of Pensacola College?
Yeah.
How legalistic it is.
Yep.
So it was basically a step down from that. But I don't know. I really enjoyed my childhood, even though it was that. It was a really cool childhood living in the mountains. Like I was a little hillbilly kid. It was kind of fun.
You want to hear
Yeah,
a small
scared.
world moment?
Hmm.
Speaking of Pensacola College,
Yeah.
the principal of the high school that I went to is
Mhm.
the all-time leading scorer for their basketball team.
Oh wow.
He scored 2 points.
What did he make? Yeah, he made
No,
3 points.
he had over 1,000. Like it was something crazy like
Oh,
that.
my
But
word. Pensacola.
shout out! I know you're not listening.
Is he a
You will
hooper?
probably never listen.
See a hooper.
He was, yeah.
At Pensacola College. I think
Which that's like
D7.
someone's rung the
doorbell.
doorbell.
Yeah, my wife ordered pizza.
It's
All
DiGiorno.
right, it's fine. It's delivery, not DiGiorno.
Now, if you want to hear more of Nate's wife, listen to last week's episode.
that is
I know
true.
I didn't.
Nope.
But I'm just kidding.
So weird. Yeah,
I'm
she
just
just ordered
kidding.
pizza. If you heard the ding, I don't know if they will hear that or not.
It wasn't the rats in the attic.
Nope. If you listen to the other episodes,
They're evolving. No.
That's
All
James's
right.
favorite joke.
So Austin,
yeah,
more about you.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I have the notes.
I'm here to learn about you.
I have
just
the
didn't know if
notes.
you had anything
We
you
just
wanted
go off
to
on
say.
some banter.
We're
That's
waiting
all
for
right.
you
Okay,
first. I mean, goodness.
So, you lived in West Virginia, then
Yep.
your family moved to Virginia.
Yes. So off to Virginia, I was like, oh, this ain't too far. West Virginia, Virginia. Most
Just
people in my
Louise.
family still have not figured out the difference between West Virginia and Virginia. They're like, oh, y'all lived in Western Virginia. No, we lived in West Virginia. It's a state.
Why is it
Thing.
above Virginia?
I don't know. It's Northwest
It's
Virginia,
also
but
to the
whatever.
west, but-
Yes, it is. It's the better Virginia. But anyway.
Oh, you hear that, Virginians?
hold up.
Hey,
Hear that,
Anyway.
virgins?
Exactly. Yeah.
Take
I
it
mean,
easy.
I mean, we got better mountains. Our skiing's better, and we were part of the winning side. So,
But at least Virginia has a beach. What was that? Was the chair.
What
don't
was
worry about
that?
it.
No, it's just a chair.
I mean,
It's just a
Virginia has
chair.
a beach and it has the mountains. So I mean, like,
But they're smaller. We have a beach too. It's around Lake Stevens.
Oh, it's a lake.
I don't want to hear anyone
can do
ever call it
cliff
a
diving.
beach around a lake ever again. I hate it when they're like, we have the Great
We got
Lakes and have beaches."
lake diving.
We're going to our
man.
beach
We
house.
got
Where
lake
is it?
diving. Chris is about to
The
die.
lake.
We're going to Car Lake.
Hey! I'll just say this. I'll say this.
White Lake.
Do y'all have Class 5 rapids there in Virginia?
I'm
Class
sure they
5?
do somewhere.
Class 5. You got 3 rivers with Class 5 rapids?
I don't know about that one.
I bet they don't. How about this? Can you go skiing? Chris is dying. Can you go skiing in March in Virginia?
Maybe somewhere. I'm not. I mean, I don't know. I go up there like every so often, but like I got fam up there. if you
They
know what
got
I'm
2 ski slopes. We got 4.
I tried so hard not to spin that one.
That was really funny, by the way. I was just ignoring it, but I was like,
Oh,
Want to turn your mic down
I
a little
forgot
bit.
you're from Virginia, and here I am.
saying. Well, I'm not
just throwing
from it,
shade.
but I have a bunch of family there. But it's
Okay.
cool. It's cool.
I'll still
I'll
throw shade
forgive
at
you.
Virginia.
virgins.
My sister lives there, so it's okay. But West Virginia's the better Virginia. We'll just leave it there.
So why did your parents move from West Virginia to Virginia?
So they went to college to learn about ministry, and then they go into the ministry in Virginia. We moved to the little town of Standardsville, Virginia. Standardsville, Virginia. You know what's in Standardsville, Virginia? Nothing. But we were 15 minutes away from Shenandoah National Park, so that was kind of
nice.
cool. But they went there to start working at Children's Bible Ministries, and they did this cool after-school program, which was basically kids after school went there and learned about the Bible. That's what I knew as a kid.
Cool after school.
Cool after school.
Shout out to that after school program.
Yeah. But I remember that stuff. I helped out with as a kid. I attended it. But the main thing I remember about Virginia, because we only lived there for like 3 or 4 years, is we went to a King James only church. Interesting.
Thank
I
you.
went to a King James only school, so I feel your pain.
It was so interesting.
You're welcome for that book.
And the pastor, if I remember right, the whole time we were there, he was a, what do you call it? A church with an exa. What do you call that? Something
Exegesis?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, on one topic, a really long time kind of thing, he would exegete well. We were
Exposition?
in expositional preacher. He was an
I didn't know
expositional
what you were
preacher.
trying to
He
get.
he took the
I know
word.
what that is.
I was like, exegetical?
I mean, he
No.
took the word and ran with it.
I was like, that sounds right. Let's go for
It
it.
starts with an X.
It starts with an X. EX,
Savior.
but whatever.
Yeah, he was pulling his.
Expositional preacher.
Yeah.
So you know how expositional preachers, that you can usually be in one passage for a year, it seems like. Well, if I'm remembering this correctly, we lived there at least 3 years, and the entire time we were in one book.
Oh, no.
Before I say this one book, I want y'all just to give me a guess of what this one book
Revelation.
was.
As long as it wasn't Jude.
No,
Revelation.
no,
Leviticus.
no. You ready for this? Songs of Solomon.
Oh, no.
Hold up. So how many?
That pastor was just horny.
3 years.
So how many children were running around the church?
Not
By the end of it, like
plenty, but 3 years of Songs of
Oh,
Solomon.
no.
Do you know what I know about Songs of Solomon after 3 years of songs?
Everything.
Nothing.
All of it.
Nothing. I know nothing about Songs of Solomon. 'Cause
I mean,
I just heard sex, and I heard him talking about body parts, and I'm like, I'm 6.
you're probably like, well,
I was like, no.
your teeth are like sheep. Like,
Why is
wonder
he talking
teeth
about
are
her
like
teeth?
sheep.
He's talking about her teeth. He's talking about her hair. He's talking about some other things. But I don't understand. So I know nothing
how do you
about songs.
spend?
I know.
How do you spend that much time on it?
I don't know, man. He was.
That takes
King James
skill
only
to
pastor.
focus that much time on
That's-
one book. But
And he
ugh.
probably had the wrong view on it. He probably was like, "Well, it's between Jesus and the church." It's not. It's not about Jesus and the church. But that's. I assume that he probably said that because it was a King James only church, so their theology wasn't really correct.
I always wondered with expositional preachers, what do they do when they get to a genealogy chapter?
Oh, boy.
Oh, here we go.
Y'all ready for a history lesson?
And they're like, I don't know. I just like, it seems like that would be a
Education.
tough one to
it
like.
takes
just-
long enough reading out all the names.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
now you have to focus on each single name.
Well,
James
I'll put
begat
this.
James Jr., begat James the Third, begat
Nothing's
James
wrong
the Fourth.
with expositional preaching. Like I
No.
think it's a great format, you know. But it's just like that's got to be a tough one to navigate. Like,
Yeah.
It's like It's like Rockstar milking GTA 5. It's like we're gonna keep going.
Bro, they look at Psalms. They're like, I got enough content for my life.
Yeah. Which you look though, and there's some great stuff like that you can do expositional preaching on. But Song of Solomon, why?
I mean, it's in there for a reason.
It's great for a small group, but
It's great for small group discussion. It's great for marriage counseling. You can talk about that stuff all day. But for 3 years in front of your entire congregation of expositional preaching, and we sang old rugged cross. He's dead.
Okay, what?
And we sang old rugged cross. It seems like every Sunday. But we had Sunday service. Yeah, we had Sunday night service. We had Wednesday service. So you know how I was talking about the works-based religion. Kind of went right back into that a little bit. I vividly remember one of the Sunday school. So I didn't like my Sunday school teacher because if your Sunday school, you know, you're a kid, you're gonna act up a little bit. You go like, I don't know, you're a kid. If you talked anything out of line in Sunday school, she didn't say, "Hey, can you be quiet?" She went, and I hated that. I'm like, I'm not a dog.
So annoying. I'd be mad.
And then one time, I forget what it was. She told me to look up something in Psalms, and it was like, I forget what it was. She asked me like, "What's the how many Psalms are there?" Nate, the ordained person.
Yeah, ordained minister. How many psalms?
Over 5.
Okay, let's say there's 5 psalms. She said go to 6.
It's 100.
And I was turning my pages. I mean, that must be a mistake. There's nothing there. Well, she looked at my Bible.
It was a joke when I said over 5. Sorry.
Yeah, I know it was a joke. But
she
she
said
opened
it as a joke because he didn't know how many there really were. Someone take his ordination back.
Anyway, like let's say there was 5. She told me to go to 6, and I'm like, well, she made a mistake or something. And I was like, raise my hand. Hey, that's not there. And she literally took my Bible out of my hand, turned it around. She said, because that's not KJV. It was a KJV. And I was like, what? And,
what do you mean?
What do you mean?
You see in KJV, they're like,
yeah, well, we literally had, so the associates pastor, I'm not going to name names. He probably didn't remember me.
But his name is Boop.
No. I think it was Michael.
I'm not going to name names, but Michael.
But anyways, our friends who were better, the stories, high stories, if you remember me, y'all were really cool. I liked y'all.
Shout out to y'all.
But him, and they were at their house, and she was reading a commentary, and he saw that this commentary was an NIV. This kid's 14, right? I thought he was old because he was 14 because I was 6, but he was 14. He goes up into this grown lady's face with 6 kids. She had 6 kids. And he started yelling at her and like getting onto her for it being NIV because he was the man and she was the woman. And I'm like, ooh, that ain't right. Like a 6-year-old kid's like, this ain't right. This is something wrong here.
there are other random translations, but of the major translations, NIV is the one I won't really back.
But still, though,
it's got a lot of good,
But this kid thought he was higher because she was a woman and because she was reading the incorrect translation. And
smack that kid.
I was like, oh, this is weird. Like, I don't know. I saw that and I was like, something ain't right here. But that's Virginia. I saw works-based religion in effect basically there, which was fun. But we left. We went to Pennsylvania. And there we went into Children's Bible Ministry again, started the same thing. Children's Bible, or I almost said it again. After school, that's what I was trying to say. After school program.
Children's Bible Ministry.
Yeah. But we went around some people who saw works-based religion. This is where I kind of started figuring things out. I was like 10 at this point, 10 or 11, I forget. And they all were previous Catholics. So they kind of saw works-based religion and they were like, we don't want any part of that because this is what Catholicism is. And we also kind of went to a more Reformed church. Met a lot of good people there, but we were only there for like 9 months. And then we ran out of money. You go into ministry, guess what, people? You're going to run out of money. So grew up basically always not having money because of ministry. So went from Pennsylvania to Georgia, where my dad worked. And Georgia was cool, we were with my family. But in the place we were, it was very hard to find a good church. Extremely hard to find a good church, as in they don't exist. We went to one in Woodstock, Georgia, but it was like 45 minutes away. Gas prices.
Right.
We were about to go into recession. This was right before a recession. So we just didn't go to church that often. But luckily we weren't there long. We went back to Pennsylvania to work again, and that was for work reasons, not for ministry.
Huh? Same area?
Same area.
Okay.
And that was better that time.
So what brought you back to Pennsylvania?
Work. My dad's job.
Okay, so he just got relocated to the same area?
Yeah, because he went back. He was a plumber by trade before ministry, so he did plumbing in Georgia to kind of fall back onto, and then he went back into plumbing into Pennsylvania.
Gotcha.
And we were there for a year. We lived around Pittsburgh, which that's a really cool area if you've ever been. We were part of a pretty decent church. I'll just say that. It was decent.
And their name.
No name dropping, decent. But
it was way better than a King James only church that belittles women and screams at you for reading an NIV. I'll say that. And they're more reformed in their thinking, so it was kind of like, cool. That's when I first heard about Reformed theology. And I was like, what is this about? I'm like, what are you talking about? Wait, what? And I didn't believe at that point because I was just conflicted. I was always believed that I kind of was saved at like 4 years old, but when I look back, I'm like, no. I didn't have a grasp of it at all. And yeah, so went there, lived there for a year or two, and my parents, they just wanted to go back in ministry. They had a drive to go back in. So oddly enough, we went back to West Virginia. So basically I spent most of all of my childhood really in West Virginia with just a little sabbatical basically from it. Because we spent 6 years there this second time, and we went back to Appalachian Bible College. And yeah, we went there, but difference this time, we went to a very, very good church. Because I'll admit, because all of my moving around, I didn't really have many friends. I had friends, but I didn't keep in touch with them. This was I had Yahoo Messenger. That's how I kept in touch with people. Tough. You can only do so much with Yahoo Messenger. And I kept in touch with friends. We'd play some PlayStation 3 when we first got the PlayStation 3. I don't know how I got a PlayStation 3. We were poor, man. Like, how did I get a PlayStation 3? But we keep in touch on there, play some games online kind of thing. That's how we kept in touch. But that kind of faded off. We went to West Virginia. I did not want to move because I was like, hey, we're in Pennsylvania. I got friends. What's going on? This is when I'm like 12. So now I'm becoming that angsty teen.
Yep.
So we go from there to West Virginia, and I'm like, oh man, I don't like. I remember West Virginia from a kid. I remember the cool parts of it, but we weren't in a great church there. And I was like, I lived in Pittsburgh. I was sophisticated now. I'm a northerner. I lived in Pittsburgh for all of a year and 9 months. But I kind of gave myself that mentality, like, I'm going back into hillbilly land. Like, what's going on here? So went back into hillbilly land is what I kind of figured it was going to be. And we first got there, we went into the college provided housing, which had window units for AC. Because
good stuff.
Yeah, window units. But they forgot to unhook the cable, so we had free cable.
Nice.
Gotcha. And I found that out. I was the one who found that out. I was just like, I wonder. And I plugged it in, and I was like, Mythbusters, yeah.
And all these years later, you receive a bill.
Yeah, really. Sorry, but
we found you.
But we had free cable. That was pretty cool.
After inflation,
that'd be some interest right there. But I told my parents about it. Hey, we got cable, and they're like, cool. And I don't remember them. They didn't tell anybody. We just like, oh, free cable.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't tell anybody.
And we were like, maybe the college is paying for it. That's why we justified. We're like,
Some poor family.
But yeah. So we lived there for a bit, but we started going to a really good church. And started getting involved in the youth group a little bit, but I was kind of I didn't really want to get involved. I was like, whatever, because I was shy, and I was like, oh, I'll just be the shy kid.
We're gonna move again soon anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna move again. So I'll just be the shy kid. But my parents had kept on like kind of shoving me onto the youth pastor a little bit, and like, hey, you should go talk to him. I'll go talk to him. Do that. So I started talking to him a little bit more, and then eventually he said, hey, do you want to do a Bible study every Tuesday? And I was like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, whatever, cool. And I was like, he's like, but it's not just going to be a Bible study. We'll do something cool too. So he lured me in with the cool stuff because he's like, oh, we'll go mountain biking. We do axe throwing, hiking, all this fun stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Sure. Back in the mountains, I'll get into the mountain sports. I'll watch Rocket Power. I'll do some skiing and stuff, So he lured me in with that. And then he started kind of mentoring me. Wasn't a Bible study, it was a mentor session. And I did that with him for 4 years. And like that changed me. Like that completely changed how I acted. I went from kind of quiet kid to kind of start breaking out of my shell a little bit. When older I got, I mean, we moved there when I was like 12, 13. We lived there till I was 17. He started, teach me what true Christianity looks like, which I think that's when I actually grasped it. I can't say exactly when I got saved, and I don't really believe you can say this is exactly when you saved, because it's a process. It's not,
right.
Oh, I got saved at this time. That's when I think I finally grasped it. I figured things out. That's when I got baptized. I didn't get baptized till I was 17, because I was like, well, I'll go to heaven anyways. This ain't important. But it finally hit me. I'm like, oh, but this is being obedient, and that's the good thing. So, like, I went from thinking, this ain't important to that because of his mentoring. And as I was being mentored, we were in a good church. My parents, their beliefs were kind of being reshaped too. We started going from, they started seeing the difference between works and independent fundamental to being more reformed. They started seeing what truth is, kind of thing. And the more we learned, the more we went towards a biblical foundation instead of a works foundation. There started to be a rift between them and the college a little bit. And it really all kind of boiled down to, we started seeing more and more of a rift growing. They're starting to see, oh, this isn't right. And it eventually kind of came to a boiling point, and they're like, we need to start looking elsewhere. And somehow we picked Florida. And when we told them that we were going to Florida, they basically said, you're burning the bridge. You can't recross it.
Wow.
Because you're going to work there. This is bad. And I'll admit, when they said we were moving to Florida from West Virginia, here I am, a mountain boy. I loved the mountains after that. I went skiing all the time. I had great friends. I had a good church. I was like, I'm not leaving West Virginia. I'm staying here the rest of my life. Well, and I was like, I started to feel it too. It was like, we've been here for 6 years. Hey, we finally found a spot. We're going to stay here. Hey, we're going to go visit a place in Florida. Why? We might move there. And I'm like, what? So here's 17-year-old kid who think he had things figured out. Like, oh, I think I know where I'm gonna go to college. I know what I'm gonna do. We're moving to Florida. So we went down and visited Camp Gilead, Florida, in Polk City.
Wow.
I'll give them a shout out. I like Camp Gilead. The complete polar opposite of West Virginia. We went from the mountains to the flattest area in the world. We had a lake. It was hot. Like, we went in July, man.
Yikes.
We went in July. And that's when we visited. It was in July. And it was hot. I didn't like it. I'm like, where are we? And it was gray the whole time. Of course, it was gray the whole time.
It was gray?
Because it rained every day. It's a wet season. There's a dry season and a wet season.
On?
I was like, what?
So we went in the wet season of Florida. So all it did was rain the whole time. It was gray. It was rainy. And I'm like, where are you taking us? Like, where are we going?
We in
Monsoons on
Like,
the daily.
yeah. It's like, we're going to Hurricane Land. Yeah, there's Disney. I don't care. Like, it
Amusement
rains all the
park,
time.
It's
Hurricane
great
Land.
at Disney.
Yeah.
Take me where there's alligators.
Yeah, I'm like, there's big lizards. I said that to him, like, there's alligators. Like, if we have a dog, it's gonna get eaten.
If we get a dog.
But they decided, they're gonna move there. So that January we moved there, and I was like ticked. I was just done. I was mad at my parents. I was mad at God. I was like, I'm done. Because I finally was somewhere, and you're taking me away from it. That's all I could think. And then, add insult to injury, like a week after we moved there, my grandma died.
Wow.
And I was just done. Like, I literally I locked myself away for at least a month.
Wow.
Basically just ate, went back to my room, played video games. And I had my blinds closed. I was in the dark. Like, I didn't pray in that time. It was just bad. And basically it was just bitter. I was just bitter. And it sucked.
Yeah.
Like, looking back, like, I didn't think it was that bad. I was just like, I don't care. I'll just do whatever I want. So I just kind of did that. But I was a terrible person at that time. Like, I didn't help my parents I didn't help my mom through her loss. Like, I was just done with people. I was done with people. I was done with God. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And it took me at least a month, almost 2 months to break out of that. And the way I broke out of it, I started doing work around the camp. And yeah, did work around the camp, started going to a really, really good church there. And that started kind of getting me out of my shell a little bit. I never was just telling God, like, I don't believe in you. I'm done with you. It was just I was mad at him. Which
Hashtag Job.
Yeah. Not as bad as that. And looking back at it, though, I mean, I can see how, God was not giving up on me. He was trying to shape me in that time. Because here I was thinking I had everything together as that 17-year-old in West Virginia to everything just got swept out from under me. So, I never gave up on God. I was just mad at him. Took a while to get out of that. It was really I'd say a year until I kind of like finally started breaking back out of my shell, because I went back in, and that time I was like back in the shell. I got my head and legs in. You ain't get me out, kind of thing. But it took about a year to kind of break me back out. I started helping around the camp more, started being more involved I didn't get too involved in the church, but I was just, because I was like, I shouldn't be involved. I didn't feel like I should be involved. Like, I just need to listen. So listen a lot better in church. And yeah, it took me a while, but I finally kind of got back out of my shell. Which, funny story, me and my sister were talking about this the other day. So a while, once I went back to church, and started going more often and more consistently, basically once we got plugged into it and found out that was the church we were going to go to. There was a while, like, every time I went to church, like, I'd feel like my chest get tight and all this kind of stuff, and I'd get scared. And one time I was passed out, like almost passed out in church.
Wow.
I thought there was something wrong with me. And my sister, we were talking about this the other day. She was like, "Did you do that too?" And I was like, "Wait, you did that?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Why do you think we did that?" And I was thinking, I was like, my grandma died in a church. She had a heart attack and died in a church.
Wow.
And we both unconsciously had these anxiety attacks in church. It took her a little bit longer than me to get over it. But it literally took me, I had a hospital visit.
Wow.
And the reason I had this hospital visit, it's kind of embarrassing, and my family makes fun of me to this day for it. But I was eating French fries, all right? I'm going to go in a lighter mood because that was kind of heavy. I was eating French fries, all right? They're good crinkle cut fries. I put some cheese on them, put them in the oven, made them all good and tasty, right? Took a bite, and you know how when a fry goes down sideways, it hurts. It hurt. I didn't choke. It went down.
Yeah.
But as it went down,
You can feel it.
it hit a
It's like a
nerve.
pin palm.
Well, it hit a nerve like
What?
right here.
Oh my.
And that nerve, this is the way the doctor explained it, is the pain receptor to your entire front of your body.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
awesome.
So, no, it's not.
Well, I mean, not for you, but like in general, that's awesome.
It hit this nerve and it sends the pain receptor off in my chest.
Oh my.
This is a person who's struggling with anxiety, thinking he's going to pass out and die in church from a heart attack. My chest starts hurting bad, like hurting. My heartbeat starts racing because I'm scared to death. And the last thing I remember, I was walking to the bathroom like, I don't feel good. And I look at myself and I'm just sweat. Like my whole shirt was instantly wet. I was wearing a gray shirt, just wet. And I wake up and I'm on the couch.
Wow.
I hit my head on the counter, hit the dirt. My mom thought I was dead.
Wow.
Like hit the ground, went limp, and woke up on the couch. And I was like, what just happened? They're like, I don't know, but you're going to the hospital.
I'll let you know as soon as I do.
And we get to the hospital. I'm freaked out the whole ride there. I'm fine. I feel fine. That my chest stopped hurting and everything. But we get there. They check me for if I had a heart attack. They do a CAT scan. They do all this stuff. Make sure I didn't bust my head open when I hit the counter. And they're like, you had an anxiety attack. It hit a nerve and you had an anxiety attack. And I was like, I had a what? Like,
wow.
I could have that.
I wonder how they determined to hit that nerve. Like, what gave it up?
It was inflamed.
Oh.
In the CAT scan, and they said it was inflamed.
That's interesting.
But yeah, and it was all because all that anxiety was because my grandma died in the church, though, and I was so afraid of that. And my sister had the same thing.
Is that your older or younger sister?
Older sister.
Gotcha. And you have 3 siblings total?
There are 2. I have an older sister and a younger sister.
I thought you had an older brother too.
Nah,
so it was the same, just anxiety for her as well, being in a church that caused a little bit of that? Or
yeah, being in the church triggered it.
That's interesting.
But yeah, that was a fun time. But after all that, though, I started getting better. Basically, started listening more in church. Started getting involved at the camp. Was a counselor for 2 summers, which is awesome. Camp Gilead, y'all are awesome. They're not perfect, of course, not like any camp. There's going to be some drawbacks, but I mean, they were still good. They were doing their best, and they're actually part of Children's Bible Ministries, the same thing, CBM. But we lived there for 3. I forget the exact number. Started getting some good friends there, and then some things kind of started acting up. The person who was running at that time, he's not running anymore because he was making some bad decisions. Basically, we started noticing him, and basically my dad was starting to look for other jobs because he was like, this is going downhill. They've gotten better now, but it was going downhill. He was just started looking for a better job because finances and stuff. I was like, oh, he'll find one in Florida, Kentucky. So here I am, have good friends again. By the way, I miss you, Curtis, if you're listening to this.
Hi, Curtis.
What's up? Come on,
Curtis.
my man.
Have you ever seen that meme where it's like the Uno meme where it's like do this or draw 25?
Yeah.
Your dad would be stay in the same state for a new job or draw 25. 25 cards in his hand.
And well, there was kind of a 2 thing to Kentucky. My dad, he decided he wanted to go back to school. He wanted to go to Southern Seminary. My brother-in-law was going there at the time, so they're like, oh, we'll go up there, get a job, we'll be able to help them because they just had a baby at that time, help them, young family, which it ended up being great for them because, well, I'll put it this way, my sister got married when she was 19, she had a baby when she was 20. Wow. So they kind of yeah. So they needed the help, and we kind of went up there and did that. But here I am again, like, okay, here I am, new state, no friends, having to figure this out all again. So lived there for a little bit. Started trying to find a church. We didn't really find one when we were in Kentucky. We went to one, but being close to Southern Seminary, it's got its advantages. There's a lot of good churches around there, but the disadvantage is, we're part of the Southern Seminary. We're closely involved with the Southern Seminary. So there's a little bit of, uppityness is what I'd say. In the first few churches we went to, and we noticed that, especially when you met the same person a few times and you go in and, oh, are you new here? no, I've been here 3 weeks.
I met you last week. Your middle name is Bob.
Yeah. So we kind of got annoyed with that, and we started checking out some others. I started going to my sister's church, 3rd Avenue Baptist, a little bit, which I really liked her church. But my parents were like, we can't go to the same church as them.
Why?
But because they wanted to be their own thing, it'd been weird, kind of, But yeah, so I started going there a little bit, but I also was getting to the age where I was like, I need to go to college because I kind of had a gap year. So I started doing online classes when I was 19, and then I decided, I was like, okay, I'm gonna move on campus. I need the experience going to college campus. So that's when I went back to Florida. Went to Florida, went to the Baptist College of Florida. This is not a shout out again.
The wing.
Baptist College
Another
of Florida.
sponsor gone.
Southern Baptist College. I was like, oh, this will be great. Part of Southern Baptist Convention. Turns out, no, at all Southern Baptists are made equal. The whole thing of that campus, I just remember, was, first of all, Southern Florida, Southern Alabama, North Florida. Them some racists around there. I did not experience racism in my entire life. I moved there and I'm like, what did you say? I'm like, what is this? Where am I? So I literally went to a church. I was learning about the church history, and they were like, yeah, we had to separate with this church, and we're a church split. We became this church because the other side of the church didn't want to allow black members. And I was like, what?
Wow.
What? And I was like, that's a thing? I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, it's still a thing around here. And I was like, oh my gosh.
It's still around this area as well, believe it or not. There's some.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So.
But it was like blatant there. Then this was also heavy political season. This was 2016.
Yeah.
Hillary
that
and,
one.
Yeah, Hillary and Trump. And literally sat through an entire, it was called Southern Baptist Life and Death. And I sat through an entire class of why Trump should be the president and why anybody who doesn't. I was like, are you kidding? I wanted to learn about the Bible, and I'm learning about Trump. And it was all that kind of stuff. There was a huge rift in the campus between Free Will Baptist and Reformed Baptist, and I was like, this is toxic. Like, we can't even have conversations. Y'all literally sit on this side of the dining hall, and we're over here.
Start bringing baseball bats.
Yeah, like
the Bloods and the Crips of baptism.
I feel like it's about to be I don't know. There's about to be a fight or something.
You just have the people who are saying, I made this choice with the bat. The other one say, this is a preordained.
This fight was predestined. Really, it wasn't.
But that.
I choose this.
But it was just not a healthy campus. It was a small campus in a small town. Rumor mill was bad.
Yeah.
Like, there was some terrible rumors spread around me, and I was like, oh, well.
What did they say about you?
I got accused of like doing some things in a car one time, and I was like, and the girl came up to me. It was because it was about us, because they basically saw us talking one time. They were like, let's make a rumor about him, because people were toxic.
Did you talk before 5 p.m.?
Yes, we did.
Was this before or after 5?
It was such a toxic campus, so toxic, and she came up to me and she was mad. I'm like, wait a minute. I did not start that rumor.
Why would
I talked to you once? It's like, exactly. Why would I? But such a toxic
on
campus.
A Christian college campus.
Exactly.
She comes up to confront you. It's 4:59. You're like, wait.
One more minute.
That wasn't a rule there. But that campus, it was almost bad though. They didn't have a curfew at that campus. I literally knew people who would go out and drink and party and do whatever they want at night and then come back like hungover again.
That's the other side of the axe.
The other side of the axe, exactly. But it was such a bad campus. And I went there for the other thing. I went there for an aviation degree. And I was like, oh yeah, they told me about this. I can pay for this. I can afford this. I had to take out one student loan. I was like, that was $3,000. I don't like taking out a student loan. And then I got to the aviation portion, and they're like, that's going to be $65,000. And I was like, bye. Peace out. So I left there, but as I was there, I picked up some toxic traits myself. I stopped. I didn't go to church enough because I was kind of scared of the whole racism thing. At least that was my excuse.
Yeah.
So I just didn't really have a church I was a part of there. I started hanging around the wrong friends. Specific person, one of them friends.
One of them friends.
One of them friends. We're about to get into there.
No name dropping, and then out of nowhere.
I won't.
No
No,
name
I
dropping,
won't,
but
I
Emily.
won't drop her name. I won't drop her name.
What's her name, Austin?
You just narrowed it down by 50%.
It's the one I got engaged.
Yeah, what's her name?
No.
All right, I tried.
Anyways, yeah. So I met that one.
Can we get a fake name? Just for the sake of
Jezebel.
not having
Just
to say
kidding.
that. Just so
Shout
we
out
don't
to
have to
Small
say
Talk.
that one over and over again.
I don't. Annabelle.
All right.
I don't know.
Annabelle, if you're
Long
listening.
He's like, it can't rhyme. It can't rhyme. It can't rhyme.
Believe it or not, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, went back. So left that college, went back to Indiana, but kept talking to this girl I met there.
Annabelle.
Who was dating somebody, and she was dating somebody. She was dating my roommate, right?
Oh, wow.
And I had a crush on her the whole time, and I was like, "Ain't no ring on that finger, man." I was
Hey,
bad.
listen.
I was bad, Chris.
When you go after a single lady, it's 1v50. When you go against someone that's in a
Chris, she
relationship,
was-
it's a 1v1.
I had two friends there. I had my roommate and her, right?
Oh,
I had my roommate.
man.
My roommate was my friend, and I was going after his girl.
Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad.
He's
And
like, huh,
I was
bud.
like really easy about it. Like I wasn't like blatant about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything like she wasn't cheating on him. I'll
Austin
put that
just
way.
like
just
weeks
dropping
across the
them
room.
I was the really good friend. I was a really good friend.
A really good friend.
And it
Snapchat
was
streak type of friend.
yeah. Back when Snapchat was more popular. I was a trashy human being too, but yeah, I was a really good friend. And some stuff started happening between them, some fights, and guess whose side I always took?
Instigating.
I didn't instigate.
Shoulder to cry on.
I didn't instigate, but I was the shoulder to cry
Gotcha.
on. And they ended up breaking up, and I was the shoulder to cry on at that point. Because I literally stopped talking to him, and I was like, "You were wrong. She was right."
Wow.
Toxic
How did
person.
that work with y'all being roommates?
We'd already left. I'd already left
Okay,
college.
I was
when
about to
this
say.
happened.
I was like, man, that'd
and-
be awkward.
It was so bad. I was such a trashy human being. But
But you're not anymore.
yeah, thankfully.
I mean, I never would have guessed him being like that. So I mean, hey.
yeah, that was I was 20. So that was 5 years.
I can
5
picture
years ago.
Austin being an F boy in a past life.
Hide your wife.
How's your kids? but but anyways, they broke up. I started being the really good friend who helped her through it, kind of thing. But all these red flags going on. First of all, my parents saw that, and they're like, "What you did was kind of bad. Like, if she dates you, it's because you're the rebound." That's what they were telling me. You'll be the rebound. And red flags.
Call me
This
Dennis
points out-
Rodman.
This points how stupid I was. She got a rebound boy. She met somebody, and because I wasn't obvious, I was super obvious. And she later told me that, yeah, I knew that. I was just seeing how you react. And I'm like, and that didn't bother me for some reason.
That's crazy.
That didn't bother me. I was so
The flags are
stupid.
flying.
There were flags everywhere.
Fireworks
I
right
was
next to
so
it.
dumb. And like she literally told me that, and that didn't bother me. But she had a rebound guy. Didn't work out, of course, because she was like, "Well, I actually like you." And then that whole thing started. Made the mistake, was like, "Well, I'm gonna go visit her," because I was in Indiana. I flew down to Florida and saw her. Of course, them emotions start going. Oh, well, guess what? Now we're boyfriend and girlfriend. I was so stupid. But we became boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, we had, within a few days, we had a fight. She's like, "How's this going to work if you don't live here?" Well, I'll just move there.
I didn't have a great job. I was making $8.49 an hour. I got a second job to try to make more money. I was working 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. and then 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. every night to try to save money for Florida for a girl who had red flags flying everywhere. Worked my tail off to get there. Parents are like, you're stupid. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm like, screw y'all. I'm doing it. So I moved in July of that year to go down to be with her. I lived in the bad side of town in St. Pete, Florida, which is bad. Somebody literally got shot. Right? I drove to my house one time there, and the police were there, like everywhere, caution tape. And I was like, so what's going on? He's like, oh, a guy got shot. And I'm like, is he okay? He's like, no. I was like, is it safe? He's like, well, I'm here, so it's a little bit safer.
It's a little bit.
Hopefully,
like,
the officer
you're not making me feel better.
Safety level increased.
But yeah, I lived on the bad side of town. I had 2 jobs there. I got another job, which was a fun job, but that was like, it was bad. I was barely making it paycheck to paycheck. Could barely afford rent, could barely afford food. But I had to buy food for her every time we went somewhere. No way she's buying it. Yeah.
Red flag.
Really bad.
Red flag.
Her parents were, well, her dad was better, but her mom was nuts, like just nutso. And they encouraged us to get married as quick as possible.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, I got to do this.
Red flag.
That's another one right there.
This gotta get married. Buy a ring, get engaged. It was so stupid of me. We got engaged within 3 months of me moving down there.
Wow.
Yeah. And then that's when things kind of got real, because they're like, oh, we need to get finances and all that. And funny thing, how closer you get to something, the more you run away from God is when the more he kind of is like, here it comes. Like, are you going to do that? You gonna do that?
It's like an anchor. The further away the boat gets from where it's towed, that chain's gonna yank it back.
Yeah, and that's basically what happened. Things just went downhill fast after we got engaged. There was a few little moment of euphoria kind of there, like, oh, we're engaged, happy to have it, all this kind of thing. And then the chain got yanked. Like literally just crazy things, like sins I hadn't struggled with in forever, just suddenly back in my life. Now these are struggle again. Like there was times in my life, like I was like, she would tell me that I lied to her, and I'd be like, I don't even remember saying that. Like, did I say that? Like, I would literally have to think, did I lie to her? Like, it was just these crazy things where I felt like I wasn't in control of what's going on anymore. Like, I was being taken down a path, and I couldn't stop. Like, it was just a downhill train, and there's no brakes kind of thing. So that just kind of getting worse and worse and worse. Eventually, we break up. I'm devastated. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I spent all this money, all this time, just to have the rug ripped out from under me. So literally, I went to work the day after it happened, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I looked at my guy, I said, I appreciate everything you do. I can't do this. I showed him the ring she gave back, and he looked at me, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I gotta go. So got back to the house, kind of just sat there for a little bit, called every single pastor I knew, just asking for counsel, like, what do I need to do? And all of them said the same thing. They're like, you got the rug ripped out from under you, didn't you? And they're like, I was like, yep. And they're like, but you feel comforted, don't you? And I was like, and they're like, you feel like a weight got dropped off. They all said the same thing, like, you felt like a weight got dropped off your shoulders. And I was like, yep. And I'll tell you, like, I just got, my fiance at that time just broke up with me, and I never felt more comfortable in my life. Like,
Wow.
I felt just like weight fell off of me. Like, I felt like I was 3 tons, and then now I'm like a feather.
Talk about a ball and chain.
Yeah, seriously.
Hey, yo!
But it wasn't just that, though. It was just God saying, I know where you need to be right now, and you're not here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I left. I went to my buddy's house, Curtis. Hi,
Shout out to
Curtis.
Curtis.
Shout out to Curtis.
He lives in Auburndale. He lived 40 minutes away. I was like, I need to get out of this town. So I went and stayed at his house that day. And he says, you need a distraction. Let's go to Target. And Red Dead Redemption 2 just came out. So he's like, man, treat yourself. So we went there, grabbed Red Dead Redemption 2. He got me some Doritos and a few things. He's like, stay here. Just sit down. Get your mind off things. I almost completed the game in 3 days.
Wow.
I just sat there and played Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'll tell you what, like that helped. Just sitting there, just thinking things through, playing the game, just thinking about nothing but what just happened, where I'm at in this moment right here. He literally just let me chill in his house for 3 days, like just doing that. And then went back to St. Pete to grab my stuff, and then basically go back to Indiana. And as this is all happening, I literally called my boss from the airport. I worked in Indiana, and I was like, well, this is bad. He actually called it. He says, you ain't going to be there long. And I thought he was kidding, but I kind of told him about the situation, and he knew. Which John Foley, I miss you. Like, I'm sorry I left your company. You were awesome.
Shout out to John Foley.
I liked you as a boss. I'm making more money than I was there, but you were a good guy.
Oh, he's big balling now.
Wow. He has all the dough.
No, I
Big
don't.
bank.
But
He's got some of the dough.
but some of it don't. But I literally called him up after all this and asked for a job, and he says, you can call me anytime. You got a job anytime.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
I had a job when I got back, and I said, he says, man, I'm going to be back. I said, I'm probably going to take a week just to be with family again. He says, just walk in and you got a job.
That's awesome.
So it's crazy though. Like after you get back where you need to be, everything just lined up.
Right.
I got back home, went back to a better church, and literally just saw how God was working in my life. I wasn't mad to be back. Everybody just welcomed me back. It was a little awkward at first, like, hey, Austin's back. And they knew the situation. They knew the situation. Like the prodigal son return kind of thing.
So the TLDR is that Florida is Tarshish.
Yes, Florida is Tarshish.
Did you turn into a Florida man at any point? I mean, goodness.
Florida is Tarshish. I went back to Nineveh, which was Indiana. Just kidding.
Florida is Tarshish has got to be like the headline of this episode.
Florida is Tarshish. There you go.
Clickbait standards.
But went back to Indiana, started figuring things out, worked there for a while, just kind of was where I was supposed to be, just stay content. And I'll tell you what, when you're content, like it's hard to be content, but when you stay content, that does take a weight off your shoulders. That doesn't mean give up. Like if you're in something and, you feel like, you're supposed to be somewhere else, like that may be God in your life saying, you need to be there. But if you're just always feeling like, oh, I need to be doing this, I do that, just learn how to be content, because trust me, it takes some weight off your shoulders. But went back to Indiana, lived there for a few years, and 2 years ago I moved here to North Carolina.
And what brought you here?
Work and family. And work's pretty good, family's good. Met my girlfriend Ashley in October of last year.
Still haven't met her.
Say what?
Still haven't met her.
I know, you'll get to meet her. But she's
He hasn't met her yet?
No,
Oh my goodness,
every
bro.
time
James met her more than anybody.
Every time he brings her to Bible study, I'm never there.
Yeah.
When are you at Bible study, though? I mean, come on, bro.
Okay, we're not gonna get into that right
Bring it, bro. We're going there. No, red flag.
Hey, it's
Just
my
kidding.
podcast. It's my podcast.
We still love
But
Things had to change. My work schedule got moved around. I wasn't
Yeah.
able to come. But the good news is I'm able to now. So
there you go.
you. Great
But
success.
yeah. But it's cool though, just seeing like even the way I met my girlfriend, it's like everything is just lined up because I'm where I'm supposed to be. And when you just trust God with what's going on, like I don't know, even moving to North Carolina, I was just like, this is cool. Like instead of seeing it as like, moving again, I just saw it as, let's see where God's going to take me, kind of thing. Let's see how this turns out. And ended up at a really good church, Raleigh Road Baptist Church. Shout out to y'all.
shout out to Raleigh Road.
Raleigh Road's a great church.
Former guests, James Flowers, Jack Way,
Yeah.
Kelly,
They've all been
Candace.
around. Yeah. Raleigh Road.
Great church.
But God put me in a great church. I would go into a rant about how I met my girlfriend, how that kind of lined up, but that'll take too long.
Real quick. He didn't mention Kelly.
I did. I said Kelly.
Oh, I was about to say. I was like,
20% of everyone who's been on this podcast
is from Raleigh Road Baptist.
Just note, Chris is the only one I can't hear in my headphones. So.
But yeah,
you just hear mumbling.
No, I want to hear the story. I don't care how long.
How I met my girlfriend?
Yeah.
So
how I met your mother?
Possibly.
Wasn't it at Buffalo Wild Wings?
No. I met her online.
Yeah. When we were at Buffalo Wild Wings, right?
No.
Or was that before?
That's when he tried to get us on that.
Yeah, that I'd already went on a date with her at that point.
Okay.
Is that the first time I met you, Austin? Were you there that time?
He was there that time. I forgot about that.
I forgot
about that too. Because they are all on the app.
All right, for all the listeners and watchers out there, us four went to Buffalo Wild Wings literally one time. It was a few months ago. And Nate and Austin didn't even know each other.
I forgot about that.
That's crazy.
That was like soon after I met Ashley. But yeah, but I met Ashley online.
Because you were like, online dating works, guys. See?
Yeah, I did.
But it hasn't worked since.
But I didn't make the account. My sisters did. Because I was content being single. I'd come to that conclusion like, I'm supposed to be single right now, whatever. And they made me an account. I see Ashley on there. And the rest is history kind of thing. Like, literally, we met. And first date, it's kind of awkward. But I was like, second date. Here we go. Second date, third date. And I don't know. It's just, only thing way I can say is divine. Just divine intervention of like everything lined up.
I thought you were saying she was divine.
She's divine too. Ashley, you are divine.
Extra brownie points.
I didn't want to say it because she's like, stop.
She's blushing right now listening to it.
She doesn't listen to this podcast.
She does every now and then. But and she'll listen to this one because the title will be, she'll listen to this.
She'll be like, ooh, got to get some of that.
But what is going to be Tarshish.
He's like, I didn't hear about that. You didn't tell me that kind of thing. But
shout out.
Just the way we met, it's just, I don't know. I can only thank God for it because just, it's been great. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, you happy people.
Chris and I being all depressed.
Yeah. But I'm just thankful for how I can just see how God's working in it, and through her, like just being thankful for her, I've grown closer to Him. And it's crazy though, like it's like in the back of my head, because I grew up independent fundamental, I'm like, oh, am I just doing this to make myself look better? Like being a Christian to make myself look better, or am I doing it because I love God? But I don't know, like just being so thankful for things He's doing, and seeing how He got me out of that bad situation into the situation I am now. I can just say, I'm thankful for what You did. I want to know You because You have literally saved me.
Yeah.
You have made my life so much better. And yeah, it's hard, and You put me through some crazy situations, but You use that to grow me closer to You. And yeah, so it's been pretty cool.
Awesome. So what's next for Austin Newborn?
What's next? Well, right now I'm just working. I'm hoping to marry Ashley someday. I'll say that publicly.
Ooh.
So
breaking news.
Start blushing again.
Breaking news. That's not breaking news. But I'm hoping to go along with that. I really even though I went to school for aviation, I still have a heart for missions, aviation, and missionary work. I don't know how that looks like yet. I'm just going to keep my doors open, and if God opens one, I'll walk through it kind of thing. That door hasn't been opened yet, but I'm just going to be patient about it. Part of me really wants to open a coffee shop. I love coffee. I don't know how that's going to happen either, but I'd really like to open a coffee shop. It's a coffee shop in the day, and it's a microbrewery in the evening. So it's open all day. And I'm going to name it Herschel's after my cool dog, Herschel. Oh. And yeah.
You and James should be business partners.
We could be.
I mean, I love espresso now. I mean, I had to bring some scooters in, which is a new coffee shop in our area.
Hey, they're not paying us.
They're not
okay.
Hey,
I got some espresso before I came. No shout out. No shout out.
No free promos.
They can.
They can.
Yeah, if you
promote
want
us.
to send us
If
money,
you
we'll
want to
talk about
contribute,
it.
I mean,
yes.
We're not denying him, but I mean, I guess we kind of have to be partial to Cups of Joy based on this episode.
Cups of Joy.
Yeah, Cups of Joy. Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to Cups.
But yeah, we could I know some coffee places in the mountains somewhere, and we could have
There
you
you
fly in with a plane, go get that coffee,
There
fly
you
back.
go.
There you go.
We got a
He
plan.
gets to do it all.
He gets to do everything
While he's
Yeah.
at the coffee place, just
Editing our
evangelize
videos.
to them.
as he's in the
And
plane.
still editing our videos.
No, really though.
He's flying the plane and trying to land.
You have the beer fermenting in the back of the plane.
I just want all the listeners to know that Austin is the MVP of this podcast. Nate's the MVP too, but Austin is really the MVP because he has put in so much work and effort into making this podcast good and making it what it is today. And we are super thankful that he is a part of the team.
Chris is our sixth man.
I really am.
No, I was just joking.
I don't do anything.
No, yes you do.
Positive.
Yes, you do.
I had the idea, and that was it.
Well, without you, we wouldn't be here. So,
Well,
Yeah.
whatever. This isn't about me; it's about you.
oh, okay,
So
okay.
we appreciate you and all you
Thank
do for
you.
the podcast.
Thank you, and I appreciate y'all too. Oh, you got Nate crying.
He's only crying because he's not the MVP.
I'll take runner
Well,
up.
we still have 2 more interviews to do, so he's going to be the MVP one of these weeks.
Yeah,
He's
we're
gonna
all
be the MVP next
MVPs.
week.
It's a
Next
weekly
week.
award.
It's a weekly.
There
It's like when
you
you go
go.
to school and it's like, who has the star for this week?
Okay, so Austin gets the first 20 stars, but I'm gonna give this week's star to James
Yeah,
just for
a
being the
co-host.
guest host on
Got
this
off
week's
of work.
episode.
On the fly, too. We're like, hey, let's get a co-host. Hey, James, you want to be a co-host? Yeah, I'm coming.
Well, I
Well,
mean-
we didn't tell him he's going to be a co-host. But
Well, I mean, thank y'all for having me. I mean, I
thanks
thought
for
great
having
having you
so.
again.
What
And your
did you eat?
audio quality is going to sound so much crisper than the first time you're on the
True.
podcast.
I mean, everything's improved since last time,
I
and
know.
it's incredible.
We
I
used to
mean,
be over
it's
there.
really cool.
We had terrible lighting,
Yeah.
We had no video.
no video.
Chris was using a snowball.
He was
pelican
just holding it up there in the corner, like,
blue-
here we are.
A blue
Melting.
Yeti.
Oh man,
A snowball that
man.
wasn't a blue Yeti.
we've come a long way.
Well, Austin, we'll wrap this week up the way we wrap up every week. Do you have any words of wisdom or inspiration to share to our listeners?
If you think times are getting tough, there's probably a reason for it. Start examining yourself, and start growing close to God, because that's what probably happening. He's probably trying to pull you back to Him. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for listening, and we will see you next week on Nathaniel Pearson's episode of the Small World Podcast.
Bye.